Welcome to PNW Prop Stars, the only Seahawks-only gambling show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. This is part of the Seahawkers Podcast Network, and I am, of course, joined by the Montana Seahawker himself, Mr. Adam Embert, and the Prince of Parlays, the Winstonian. That's new. That's the Princetonian. That's Wilson Kahn, of course. Boys, we took a licking in week one. Not just the Seahawks, not just our bets. I'm going to say for the three of us, we need to do better. Adam, you feel me?
Oh, yeah, totally feeling you. I think I hit on one as well as Wilson, the same one, and that was it. Was that it for the entire week? Was it field goal prop?
We'll get right.
Pathetic. Yeah,
that feels really, really poor, and unfortunately really, really right. We'll get into last week's theatrics and the lack thereof in a second. Wilson, you decided to go to a concert instead of watch the game. Maybe the best choice and the best bet you made all week. How was the concert, dude?
Well, it was fine. Unfortunately, I made it back in time to watch the entire second half. So,
good.
Actually,
so it's
it
your
was the
fault.
worst. Yeah. I actually missed the good part, and I missed my bet hitting as well. Well, actually, I saw the second field goal, but
yeah, it was okay. Well, glad you had a fine time, and thanks for screwing us all over with your poor choices. And let's never do that again. Thank you. And of course, folks, if you're out there, we ask some really simple things. Adam, what do we want folks to do if they're watching this or hearing this in their hearts and minds?
Hey, just hit like, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff, man. It helps a lot. Just do it.
Easy.
Thank you. Let's move on.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. We hear it every single week. We need to move on from week one, so we will. However, before we move on from week one, we gotta face some facts here. So this is what we're looking at. A lot of red, boys. A sea of red. We were joking before the pod started. So it turns out when Seattle really gets their doors blown off for dumb reasons, our bets aren't so hot. So we'll look to do better here. We did have Wilson with the check, Adam with the check. Guys, I got to ask you, I thought, hey, you got two dudes who straight up tied. There is no winner. Is that fair? I was like, there is no champ this week. It's not like you're not both champs, right?
Yeah, I think we actually had this happen maybe 1 week last year, and we declared co-champs. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, so we're going to declare no champs.
There's no winners this week, Clinton.
Okay,
there's no winners.
Enough.
Like,
right,
look at that. Look at all the red. No winners.
I want yeah. So for here,
we lost the least. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I'm the biggest loser for sure. There's like the dunce hat goes on me with my minus 31, and I just revisiting some of this muck. I still, that Geno prop of 13.5 yards, he scrambled one time on the ball where Jake Bobo's wide open and DJ Dallas can't hold a freaking block for 3/4 of a second to allow Geno to step up. That is a touchdown for Bobo. Wasn't the first one anyway, but I mean, he got 6 yards then, never looked to scramble again. Boy, was I wrong there. I don't think we need to traverse too many others. So let's get this muck off the screen. All right. But this is the only Seahawks show out there where we will examine this upcoming game versus the Lions, and we'll look at what are our favorite bets just based on this game with at least enough analysis as to why we like the bet. And even if you're not a betting person, we're finding folks in the Discord and folks, just the Seahawkers pod listeners being like, hey, was it, didn't think this would be my jam, but turns out I really, really do love this show. And I want to give a little bit of love to a couple of flockers out there in the Discord. So you got Randy Horner. I like that he uses the term, adopted the term, the Sunday rubber. So he put a Fail Mary bet out there. By the way, nobody in the flock won money either. So it is what it is. But Witherfork had some bets going. Jamie Williams had some bets going. And Carr is an active and fun participant to kind of play along and all that jazz. So for those flockers in the Discord playing along, we love you. The more you all want to put your bets out there, when we do hit some this week, and we'll share those on next week. So, all right, we got the Detroit Lions, boys. There's been the preview shows and all that jazz on Seahawkers Pod and everywhere else. We've covered this team. Interesting matchup. Last couple of seasons been huge numbers, meaning like lots of volume, lots of offense. Wondering if that happens this year. We're down 2 tackles. That ain't great. So what's going to transpire? Wilson will still carry the tee box here. Honors, it's a tie. He still gets honors from last year. Let's all do better. Wilson, it's on you to start us out of the gate, dude. Bet one. What you got?
Well, this is a tough one because it's one of those games where if it wasn't this show, I would take the Lions to win, but of course that would be horrible for my Hakra, and so I won't do that. But I will take a Lions bet here on first down. Witherspoon's coming back this week. That should hopefully help. Or not coming back, I just making his debut. Adams, we'll see. He seems to still be limited in practice. I don't know that it's going to matter that much for our secondary, to be honest. When you're getting torched by Puka Nakua and Tutu Atwell, one player coming back, I don't care if it's Darrell Revis. I don't think it's making that much of a difference. So I'm going to take Amon-Ra to score a touchdown this week, plus 100. He's a really good receiver. I think, even against an elite defense, you take him to have a pretty good game. I was surprised that it was at plus 100, to be honest. I thought it would definitely be, I would not be doubling my money here, but yeah, I like the number. I think he'll score.
So at plus 100, one of the things about Amon-Ra thus far is he hasn't, in his 2 years, he's been like a 90 reception guy and then just over 100 reception guy. But his touchdown numbers have not been huge yet.
Yeah.
I think he's like 5 the first year, 6 the first year. I think it was only 6 last year as well. He did get in the end zone last week, right? I think he's already got 1 on the season. Yeah. So off to a hot start. And this simply could just be year 3 where the dude goes 130 receptions or 115 with that 10 touchdown plus year. So Vegas is saying to you, yeah, pretty darn likely. Adam, what do you think about Amon-Ra getting into the end zone for the Lions?
I do expect a bit of a bounce back game for the secondary. You're never as bad as your worst game. You're never as good as your best. And maybe we just seen the Seahawks' worst game right out of the gate. So
hopefully.
I think it's probably likely, actually, when you look at their history, and we can talk about that a little bit going forward. But I do think the Lions are going to score some points, though. And if somebody's going to score a touchdown, picking St. Brown, don't blame you. With plus odds, not a bad bet. I think it is as good a bet as any.
Yeah, I'm with you. A little bit of a 50-50 toss, which is what the odds say. All right, Adam, you are up on your first bet. What do you got, dude?
All right, boys. Welcome to Adam's parlay party, because I don't know.
APP. Let's go. I like it.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys, but I was looking through the bets last night, and they're boring. They're boring bets.
Yes.
There wasn't hardly anything there that gave me the fizz and or that I felt great about, just on the kind of the straight up bet. So adding some spice today. My first bet. So a parlay. So 2 or more bets that have to come true to, win your bet, right? So for the first part of the bet, first leg of the bet, the Seahawks plus 14. And the reason why I'm taking Seahawks plus 14, the Seahawks only lost 1 game last year by more than 14 points. And it was to the Niners early in the year. They don't lose by double digits all that often.
Here we go, Wilson.
They don't. It's just the history of it. So plus 14, that's almost a lock right there, that they're going to be within 14 points.
Have you seen the score from last week, Adam?
Exactly. I have. And that's going to get to my third down bet, by the way, too, because you got to look at the history of this stuff. You can't just be like, oh, it was 1 bad week. Oh, no, we suck again.
That's fair. That's fair.
This team has a history, and their history suggests that they don't lose by 14 points or more than 14 points very often. One saw last year during the regular season. Second leg of the bet here, Geno Smith to have more than 175 passing yards. So a very low bar. Those are your 2 legs of the bet. I think those are both low bars, very likely to happen. And the odds are plus 134 for that.
Oh, hey.
Wow. Very interesting number there, right? So you're getting good plus odds on. I like these kind of combo bets in general, Wilson, where you're taking 2 things that ought to happen and you're taking odds in your favor. So I like it, Adam. Before I dive into mine, Wilson, any reaction to Adam's little mathematical APP?
Yeah, that was a better number than I thought that would give you. They must be. Well, I mean, what was the number on the Geno?
Well, okay, I'll tell you what everything is, and you tell me if I'm doing the math right here to make sure that I'm not screwing this up, right? Okay, so first bet was Seahawks plus 14, minus 409. 175 plus for Geno, minus 1,000. And those together on a $10 bet gives you a total payout of $23.40. So
yeah, 13,
minus
40,
your
yeah.
$10, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
13, 40, yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did it right. Hooray for me. It's very early.
I do love that Adam's using like some sort of abacus and not just using an app, with that. That's right. That's the dollars. If they're paying you 23 something on your $10 bet, that's 1340, right there. There you go. 134. Wilson's looks like he's confirming it. Good. He got the head nod. So good sound to bet. I like that. All right. I suffered from the same thing that Adam was suffering from, although I didn't have the gumption to go for a CPP. Is that right? A Clinton parlay party. I was just finding bets that I was like, oh, I got to do better than my minus 31. So I went to this well quite a bit last year. It paid off very often. Here's the deal. Seattle still can't really cover tight ends all that well. Once again, Higbee smashes or beats his number last week, which Wilson had lost on. Sam Laporta had 5 receptions last week in his rookie debut. He's going to get the ball. They use the middle of the field. Remember Hawkinson last year versus us had a monster week. He also had a nice night last night himself, scoring 2 touchdowns for the Vikings. We're recording this on Friday morning. With all that said, I found this number pretty low for Laporta. Laporta, 34.5 yards at minus 115. I can see he's a rookie. He slid right into the Hawkinson spot. We still have issues with tight ends. 34.5 is not a monster number. He had more than that last week in his rookie debut. I want to get on the board with something, and that's my something there. So, Adam, we're going to go to actually Wilson. Any reaction before Adam takes his bet?
Yeah, as far as receiving yardage bets go, I think it's a pretty good one. We have obviously did not show great ability to cover Higbee last week. He had an okay game. He did enough to beat my number, unfortunately. So yeah, Laporta looked good against the Chiefs. So
and Higbee had a hit really an outlier to do so. He ended up with like a 30-yard catch, which is not Higbee's game. Unfortunately, it kind of is our game that we do allow. So it's yak with tight ends.
That's our thing, man.
Yeah, man, can't quit it.
Yeah, we unfortunately can't quit it. All right, Adam, bet 2 for you. What you got?
So I wanted to follow up on yours. I like that bet because when I first looked at this game, I was like, okay, Hawks, Lions. Apparently those TJ Hawkinson like PTSD feelings were very deep because I couldn't get myself to remember that he now played for the Vikings. I was looking for every Hawkinson bet that I could find. It was like, oh no, those don't exist. All right, correct. Second down bet for me. It's another parlay, boys, because it's a parlay party. All 3 bets today, they are parlays. So Seahawks, man, they struggle covering backs out of the backfield, especially when they're concentrating on all sorts of other things, like they're going to be concentrating over the middle of the field and with the slot receiver and things like that. I think it's pretty well set that the Lions backs will have at least a couple catches each and do pretty well that way. So first leg of the bet, David Montgomery for over 10.5 yards receiving out of the backfield. And that's at negative 120. And then it felt dirty rooting for, something good to happen for the Lions. So I'm throwing on a little Seahawks love on the end of this. Kenneth Walker to be over 60.5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like that is both tackles are out. I was thinking about that. If that's the case, then you're playing with your backup tackles to protect your quarterback, to protect this offense. You're going to really lean on Rashad Penny in the run game. What does Curran do better than pass blocking? Run blocking.
Run block, correct.
So might as well run it if you got him in there and play to those strengths. Also, I went back and I watched little highlights from this last year's game with the Lions. It was a wild catfish game, dude. It was crazy all over the place. And I had forgotten that was a huge Rashad Penny game. He went nuts in that game. So I like Ken Walker to go nuts too. So Montgomery over 10.5 receiving yards. Kenneth Walker over 60.5 rushing yards. And that gives me plus 270.
I like
You're
it.
approaching Wilson 300 there.
Yeah. I'm just warming it up, baby. Yeah.
270. Okay, plus 270. Yeah, I like the Walker part. I'll talk about that and the why in a second for me as well. The Monty part to me is the riskier only because they, of course, have Jahmyr Gibbs. And the other side of that's nice is like it still seems that the Lions are going to slow play Gibbs. At least that's what they're saying. They said it, as the season got going, We'll ease him in. They did that. He looks darn good with the ball in his hands. But still, they're like, yep, we'll increase his load, but they're not like, oh, we're all Jahmyr Gibbs all the time. So Monty should get, maybe a catch or two out of the backfield. However, 10.5 might still be a lot if they don't run a screen to him. We shall see. All right. I will just go into bet number 2 for myself. It's a kind of a jump off where you were. I was very interested in the Ken Walker just over under. That was somewhere around 59.5 in the app I was looking in, which I think was at that point DraftKings. But I wanted to spice it up a little bit. For all the reasons you had said, Adam, I took an adjusted run for K9 to get 75 or more, but it pays me plus 170. So this might be my heart telling me what my head wants to hear or vice versa. But the things of Jake Curran he's a much, much better run blocker than he is pass blocker. Let's see if we could set up or at least have enough of balance that they don't just stack the box. And I do expect 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and to run the ball more. That could be pistol. That could be other ways you do 13. But I expect us to run the ball more. If we get out of this game and Ken Walker is sitting at like 10, 11, 12 touches, we had a bad day, dudes. Bad day. Yeah. So this bet also hinges on Walker getting 18 or so touches. If he does that, great potential to pop one for 30 or 40 yards. And then that 75-yard plus looks really, really good. I like plus 170. All right, Wilson, you got the second down bet, but any reaction to either of the ones you just heard?
I like that you're both riding with Walker this week. We're going to need him. So
yeah, exactly. Yep.
I'm for my second down bet. I'm sticking with what worked last week. I'm taking Myers over 1.5 again. Nice. The money moved pretty significantly last week to minus 105. This week it's absolutely sprinting to the under. The under you can take it minus 160 right now, and the over is at plus 124. So I'm gonna fade the public here and take the over.
So plus 124. These are field goals, right? So
correct.
So
over 1.5 field goals made.
Yeah, so he kicks 2 field goals, and you're getting paid $1.25, right around there. Not too shabby. Adam, do you think and that becomes the question? The analysis part is likely: do we break down? It's either one of two scenarios, right? Either we have enough offense and we're in the 30s with no tackles, so that we score touchdowns and field goals, or we are breaking down the red zone again, have to settle for field goals more often than not. Do you like the bet? And if so, which variant do you think happens?
Oh man, I dang near went with the kicker parlay with Jason Myers over 1.5 and 2 total field goals or over 1.5 field goals in the first half. And I would have paid like 280 because I'm with you, Wilson. I think that this kicker stuff is easy money for the most part. And Clinton, to answer your question, yeah, I think this team is going to struggle in the red zone. It struggled in the red zone last year. It struggled in the red zone week 1. It's going to struggle in the red zone in week 2 of this season. Like, you are what you are until you prove otherwise. So yeah, I'd bank on it, especially with both tackles out. It's going to be tough sledding.
Yeah, that makes me a little sad, but I have to, recognize the truth in that answer, because that's probably where I'd lean to until they prove it, right? It's like great. And Brandon had a great point. I think it was in the What If show that we just released this morning with Phil, when Brandon's like, hey, it'd be totally cool if when we get to the red zone, we don't take Ken Walker out. And if we're going to run the ball in the red zone, 20 yards in, let it be Ken Walker. And heck, you might even want to throw the ball to Ken Walker. We don't all of a sudden need the DJ Dallas show. He's fine, but there are special players on this team. One of them is Ken Walker. So that would be totally cool. Hopefully we're wrong and y'all still hit that bet. That'd be kind of cool, because I want to see the flock make some money. All right. I am up on now my third down bet. This one is just going to the fact that, going back to history, that I don't think the wagon wheels are going to fall off completely. I think last week scoring 13 against what I don't believe is a great Rams defense still, I think it was a fluke, in the sense that we did not score touchdowns early. We miss a field goal. And then the second half is just that doesn't happen. Again, hopefully, Adam, that's the worst of our showing for the entire year. That's not the norm for this team. So And the Lions are still not a top 10 defense by any means. They might be more middle of the pack this year. We shall see. They were very poor 2 years ago. They were pretty poor, especially early last year. They were quite poor. They're getting better. They got some more talent. With all that said, Seattle over 21.5 points, period, at minus 102. So if we're in, again, I know 21 is a pretty big number there because you rarely score 22 points. But that means 23 points, 24 points from our Seahawks. And this bet is basically even money. This is also another one of those, if we're not scoring 22 points versus the Lions, we're going to have a bad day, boys. And I'm not in this for a bad day. I'm in it for a good day. So over 21.5 points. Wilson, before you take it back to the top for your third down bet, anything you want to say about that?
Again, it's a tough one for me, but we're going to need it. So I'm rooting for you because I agree. If you're not breaking, I mean, it's true for most games, but the Lions, if you're not breaking 21, good luck.
Right. Okay. I got you. I got you in the heart, but maybe not the mind with that one. Understood. All right, Adam, any reaction or, reaction before Wilson takes his third down swing, if you got any?
I mean, solid enough bet. I mean, all good reasoning. We'll see how it goes. This week was really difficult for me personally because it is so early in the season. It was such a bizarre showing in week one. It's hard to know exactly what to bet on. Being sure about anything was really difficult to me this weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, week one is that kind of a, that has that mystique, right? Look at the rest of week one. This was not, you covered that in the flagship show. This was not a Seahawks only problem, thankfully.
Yeah.
Now, we are Seahawks fans. It's the only team that we really care about with that kind of passion. But the rest of the NFL, there was so much tumult, and Joe Burrow threw for under 100 yards. Like, what? Where'd that come from? So it happened. All right, Wilson, third down bet. What you got, dude?
Well, I'm taking Wilson 300 this week, and I'm going with your theme of the team bouncing back a little bit, at least on the first Lions drive, by not allowing a touchdown and instead giving up a field goal attempt at plus 350.
So field goal attempt, Lions
field goal attempt on their first drive.
All right,
plus 350.
I love it. Plus 350. You know what? I mean, Adam, you've been talking about this has been bend and break, right? That's what you guys were talking about the other day. Hopefully we just get this bend but don't break. Actually happened yesterday before the Eagles, before the Vikings just started vomiting the ball all over the field for no good reason. But the Vikings at the beginning of that game, the first half, did a nice job of Eagles were driving and then stop them, like just hold them to a field goal. And the Eagles are a pretty good offensive team. They will huck it around and run the ball really, really well too, apparently. That'll be interesting. I like that it's in the 350s. You're honoring your own system. All right, Adam, you are bet 3. You're up. But again, of course, any reaction to Wilson's hopes?
Lay it on me again. I guess I kind of missed exactly what it was.
I'll give it to you. So Lions first drive, not first drive of the game, but Lions first drive. They have to settle field goal attempt.
Right.
Doesn't. Yep. That's it.
Yeah. Color me jealous because I didn't do a first drive bet this week, although I really enjoyed mine last week, even though it didn't come true. Like the ball did pop out down by the end zone, and I thought I was going to get my Hail Mary there for half a second. But those are fun bets because you're invested right out of the gate. You have something already done by the time the first drive's over. Yeah, I like it, man. Go for it.
Yeah, nice. Me too. They are fun. You get them over with nice and early, like you said. And hey, I'm waiting for that. So I would settle for they punt. That'd be the best thing for the Seahawks. And if they have to, chip a field goal and like it's just 3-0 or something like that, Wilson, I will wait for that celebratory text from you, and I'll be there with you, dude. I'll be pissed, but I love you. All right, Adam, you're up your third down bet. What you got?
All right, last parlay of the day, boys. We got Seahawks plus 7. So that's half of what I was going with earlier in my early bets. Now, the reason I'm going Seahawks plus 7 here at minus 161 is if you look at last year, again, only lost by 14 or more points twice last year. They followed that up with a win and a loss by 6 points. So they didn't lose by more than 7 points after suffering a double-digit defeat in the regular season last year. So I like that part of it. That feels fairly certain, or in this team's DNA anyhow. And then the second part is over 0.5 Jared Goff interceptions. and
Okay.
plus 140. Now, Jared Goff has played 10 career games against the Seattle Seahawks. You know how many picks he has in those games?
I'm
10.
good. Wow. Oh, there you go. There you go.
10. He averages 1 a game. And in fact, the last 2 games that he's played against the Seahawks, he has thrown an interception. His last game as a Ram and his first game as a Detroit Lion against us. So it's like clockwork. It's Groundhog's Day. You can set your clock to it. You are going to get a Jared Goof for a pick. So Jared over 0.5 interceptions. That gets me to plus 302.
Plus 302.
That's as Adam 300.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quirky, it's lovable, it's Adam, right? That's all. That's a nice,
that feels right.
A nice bundling. It does feel right. I do wonder. I know that Goff has that streak going, right? Of now it's 359 attempts without an interception. Was his last pick the Tariq Woolen house call? I'm guessing it probably had to be, right? Because that's week 2 last year. 359 attempts, or who knows? I guess 10 a game. He probably threw one halfway through the year. It sounds like too, but I'm into it, man. I still appreciate Dan Campbell, and I'm not like, ooh, I hate the Lions, but they're becoming hateable. Like in the grand vernacular of like they're starting to get good, and there's so much media love and buzz around them that a little smackdown in general, be like, you're getting a little over your skis there, Lions fans. It just might be in order, and boy, would that be fun to make that a reality for our Seahawks to be the ones to give him a little smack. So I'd love to see Woolen or Quandre or any of our dudes with that pick. We are back to Wilson though for the Fail Mary. Fail Mary number 1, Wilson has to be plus 1,200 or longer odds to qualify. We know these things. It's a $1 bet. The Sunday Scratcher for Randy Horner, the Sunday Rubber. Wilson, what is your Fail Mary?
Before I say it, I do want to say, Adam, in 100% of his career games against Jared Goff, Tariq Woolen has an interception. So it's something to look out for.
That's true. My sample size was 10. Catfish. It wasn't 1.
Well, yes, I love that call out, because in the logic Adam was given, he went back to last year. It was like, all right, the 2 games they were better than 14, blotted by 14. One of them barely made it, so that's my bet, which I love. So Wilson, great call out, good job by you, and Adam, perfect retort. All right, Fail Mary time.
well played all around. Yeah, I found one right at 1,200 that I liked. Metcalf scored last week. If he scores twice in this game, I get plus 1,200 for that. 2 touchdowns for Metcalf. Again, it's one of those ones where might need it. It's one of those, and that's the point of the Fail Mary too, right? It's not likely to happen, but something you'd really like to see, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's plus 1,200 or longer odds here, folks. Again, that means you bet $1, you win 12. If you bet in 10, you win 120. That's the math. So lovely job there. Hey, a DK redemption arc after his antics last game. A little bit of like a put up and shut up DK. Just do it on the field and let that get fired up. But because you scored 2 touchdowns on our way to a W, that's the kind of fired up DK that I want. Adam, I'm sure you want that too. What's your Fail Mary, bud?
All right. So when I said earlier, I don't think you're as bad as your worst or as good as your best. So clearly, I don't think we're as bad as whatever that performance was last week against that stupid team I don't want to talk about. But I also think that applies to the Lions here, right? They went out there to Arrowhead and got their big win. It was a huge emotional game. And this is a classic, like, emotional letdown game, even though it's the home opener. And I don't believe that they're as good as that game was. I think that was their best. Like, if you go back and you watch it, it's not like they dominated. The Chiefs kind of bumbled that away in a number of different ways. So I don't think the Lions are quite as dominant as we think. And I don't think the Seahawks are nearly as bad as we think. So I picked the Seahawks to win by 13 to 18 points for plus 1,700.
All right. So in that window of 13 to 18 for plus 1,800, right?
1,700.
1,700. Okay. I almost gave you an extra century there. All right. So plus 1,700. Some might say that the Chiefs dropped the ball, right? They had their opportunities, but they were just like, you guys talked about this, Brandon and Adam, you guys talked about on the flagship quite a bit. It's just like, okay, will we use the middle of the field and stop the dinking and dunking with little 3 and 4 yard outs to the flats, get Gino out of the pocket because we're going to have to deal with Curran blocking. Get him on the move, layers concepts, 12, 13 personnel, and in between the hashes, do exactly what Kansas City was doing, but catch the damn ball, as Keyshawn would say, right? Throw me the damn ball. That seems like a recipe. Hey, listen, I will love to celebrate that victory with you, Adam. Love it very much. I'm going back to my same well here on my Fail Mary because this one is an anytime touchdown from Bobo at plus 1,500. I'm going to keep taking this bet as my Sunday scratcher until it comes to fruition. As long as it's above 1,200, he will score a touchdown this year. He would have scored a touchdown last week. That little flea flicker play, Charbonnet back to Gino off the end there, wide open. That was perfectly schemed up. Bobo is open. Again, DJ Dallas, if you watch 3 in, 3 out or listen to it, for me, he wore the big out there because he could not hold off a rookie for more than 3/4 of a second with a block. Wide open. I like that we didn't see a ton of creativity. In fact, we needed a lot more from Waldron, I feel like, to expose these teams. He was clearly scheming to get Bobo open on that play. It worked. One part of the system failed, and we don't get the joy. So I got Bobo at plus 1,500 getting his first NFL touchdown. Okay. Last year we ran through these sprint form to go through them all. We're not doing that this year. So we're saying, hey, if you're listening to this on the audio, make sure you're checking it on YouTube, because at this very moment on YouTube, I'll splash all these on the screen so you can see all the bets we just took. We take the bets live. I don't know them beforehand. I'm jotting them down. So the YouTube version, when it comes out, will have a beautiful graphic. We'll post that out on Twitter. More importantly, out on the Facebook Ring of Honor and into Discord. Those things will be there. So if you want to get involved, Adam, how could the good folks get involved with this show and all of our Seahawkers podcast content?
Oh, shoot. Just get in the flock, gettintheflock.com, become a member of the Patreon. Different levels of membership there. It gets you all sorts of cool stuff, whether that's in the Ring of Honor or in the Discord on game day. That's fire, by the way. Like, that's one of my favorite places to be on game day in terms of virtual presence. And yeah, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us anywhere that you download podcasts. So get after it, hit subscribe, be cool, because we need you to be cool. So you be cool.
Yeah, you be cool. All right. So last week we talked about plans. Wilson had to go to a concert. I was chilling at home. Adam, I think you as well. So this week, boys, it is me and my wife's on Sunday. It is our 18th wedding anniversary on Sunday. So I'll be home watching the game. And because what we're doing is we're going out Saturday night. So going to a nice dinner Saturday. There's a casino up by us about 20 minutes away, where I used to work for 5-6 years in the early 2000s. Great little place. So we're going to do a little bit of that, have some fun. And then I'll be chilling back at home on Sunday. A 1:00 start. We didn't mention that. 1 Eastern start for our Seahawks this year, and our record's been really, really quite good in the 10:00 a.m. Pacific zone. Wilson, you're on the East Coast this time of year out in Princeton. Are you able to watch the game this week? And why is the answer yes?
Yes, I'm not messing around.
Perfect. All right, good. And Adam, I'm assuming that you're free and able to watch live and participate.
If I'm not watching, something's gone terribly wrong in my life. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if Adam is, and are you trying to stream again? Is that part of the plan? Are you trying to go?
It doesn't look that way. I think I got to rewire a permanent wire out to the Hobo Shack rather than doing Wi-Fi, and maybe then it'll be fast enough until the fiber gets here. But hurry up, Blackfoot! I need my fiber. Goddamn catfish!
Yes, Blackfoot, make it happen. All right. And with that, boys,
there's only one thing left to say:
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
We're killing it this year. Let's go.
Yeah.